unerring rightness, and that provides them with a shining example of where the path of selfless service leads. Very interesting. The direction this Iowa farmhouse is taking, the thing, whatever it is, that it's evolving into. I'll have to think about this some more, or not. The fact is that everything goes along perfectly well without me sticking my nose in. Another fact is that I really don't care who's coming or why. It's a nice place, and it has a nice feeling to it, and that hasn't changed. We're not throwing kegger parties at night that I've noticed. Nobody's running around naked or sacrificing squirrels that I've noticed. I don't think the place is turning into a commune, and I'm reasonably sure Sonea wouldn't let it. Annie runs out and curls up in my lap. She sticks her thumb in her mouth and is instantly asleep. I can't read with her here, so I set the book down and enjoy the evening. A poem by Ryokan comes to mind. Too lazy to be ambitious, I let the world take care of itself. 10 days' worth of rice in my bag, a bundle of twigs by the fireplace. Why chatter about delusion and enlightenment? Listening to the night rain on my roof, I sit comfortably with both legs stretched out. One of my favorites. Chapter 11. Kill the Buddha. Do not seek to follow in the footsteps of the wise. Seek what they sought. Basho. It's raining. Thunder and lightning are slashing and crashing through the sky. Thoreau called himself the self-appointed inspector of snowstorms and rainstorms. And if he meant that he was so enthralled by them that he felt compelled to observe them, even if it meant getting out of a warm bed to do so, then I know what he meant. And I, too, am a self-appointed inspector of snowstorms and rainstorms. It's early morning, the sun just recently up, and the storm has pulled me from sleep. I am wrapped in a blanket and tucked cozily into a chair on the west-facing second-floor porch just off my bedroom. Most of our weather comes in from the west. I always have the feeling that storms are spectacles for my personal entertainment, and I feel a pang of guilt if I don't pay attention to them. It's no hardship to pay attention to them, though, since they provide me such pleasure. I think of storms as boisterous sound and light shows put on by the universe for those who have the sense to appreciate the majesty and grandeur of them. Nothing to do with enlightenment, just something I like. Andrew is the only guest who ever sat out here on the second-floor porch with me. They usually don't come near the master suite at all, unless it's for their chores, and usually when I'm somewhere else. It's embarrassing, really. After all, there's no earthly reason why I shouldn't make my own bed. I don't know whatever happened in my life that I have people doing all my stuff for me. Actually, I do bully my way into the kitchen after dinner once in a while, order everyone out, and clean the dinner mess by myself. I don't do it to be a good guy or to make a point. I do it because I enjoy it. I like washing the dishes and cleaning the kitchen. Go figure. I invited Andrew up one day last summer during an afternoon storm. I liked Andrew personally. He was in his mid-30s, slim, soft-spoken, and had been a Buddhist for most of his adult life. As I recall, he was a practitioner of Vipassana meditation. which may have explained his air of quiet self-composure. I wanted someone to watch the storm with, and Andrew seemed a good choice, meaning that he seemed likely to sit quietly and appreciate the storm. Which he did. When it was mostly over, we poured tea and discussed his relationship with Buddhism. I was interested to hear his views and experiences. I've never really understood Buddhism conceptually. I understand Zen perfectly, at least my own highly distilled version of it. But, strange as it may sound, I've never really made the connection between Zen and Buddhism. For one thing, I never figured out how desire got to be the bad guy and compassion became the good guy. Suzuki said that Buddhism wasn't something you had deep feelings for, that just doing normal things like eating meals and going to bed was Buddhism. I read books about it, and now and then I kind of get it, but mostly I don't. The reason I don't get it, I think, is because I keep thinking that the point of Buddhism is waking up from delusion. But maybe it's not. Maybe the point is just eating meals and going to bed. What drew Andrew to Buddhism was interesting, but hearing him talk about it only reinforced my belief that it was something I didn't get. I'm not a theologian, of course, and I have not made a deep study of world religions, but to the degree that I have looked at them, I have no problem understanding what they're about. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are all about keeping God happy, so he keeps us happy. Hinduism is similar, but with more gods. But even at that oversimplistic level, Buddhism eludes me. Frankly, I think it eludes many of its practitioners as well, as the discussion with Andrew would tend to bear out. He was stuck on several points, he said. We discussed a few of them that I'll share here because they reveal important lessons for anyone who is trying to break free from the bonds of delusion, as we say in the Enlightenment game. What Andrew had to say about the Buddhist concept of non-attachment was not so much that he didn't understand it, as that he was having trouble achieving it. That, of course, led to the apparent paradox of the desire to be desireless, being itself a desire, and that whole tail chase. Rather than drawing him out on the subject, I decided to simply drone on about it for a while and see how he responded. Andrew didn't need to be finessed like some of the others. He had the courage and intelligence to see when shown. There are two ways to look at non-attachment. One is in the context of living a peaceful, happy life. The other is in the context of becoming awake from delusion. Nirvana, I suppose. Am I correct in believing that Buddhism often has as its goal serenity, freedom from suffering, that sort of thing? Andrew confirmed that living a fulfilled and contented life was very much at the heart of Buddhism, but added that enlightenment, nirvana, was closer to his own. Then you'll be happy to know that you can forget about non-attachment, I said. You're putting the cart before the horse. Non-attachment isn't a key to liberation. It's a byproduct. The attachment thing is just a symptom of a larger and more interesting malady chronically plaguing earnest seekers. More interesting to me, anyway. This is a very common error that's found throughout the world's teachings and religions, I continue. They're often 180 degrees removed from the truth. It's the belief that if you want to be Christ-like, then you should act more like Christ, as if the way to become something is by imitating it. If you want to be an enlightened person, the thinking goes, you should act like an enlightened person. Utter nonsense, of course, but widely accepted. Once you're able to recognize this fallacy, you'll be amazed by how common it is. For instance, I myself am enlightened, and I possess effortless non-attachment. I know what it is, and I know what they mean by it because I have it. I'm not attached to it. I don't cultivate it. In fact, I don't think I ever gave it much thought until I had to answer questions about it. It's just something that came with the deal, a byproduct. There are many byproducts of enlightenment, but cultivating them, no matter how devoutly, would never actually bring about enlightenment. It's easy to look at an enlightened guy and say, "Hey, he only eats rice. We must only eat rice if we wish to attain nirvana." But, of course, that's not true. If the enlightened guy jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? Andrew laughs politely. If the enlightened guy jumped off a bridge, I repeat, would you jump off a bridge? He doesn't laugh this time. It's everywhere, I continue. You see it all the time. Why should I turn the other cheek if someone belts me, and I want to belt him back? Act like Christ? When did I get into the acting like Christ business? Some great sage in India only sits facing north. So now I have to face north all the time? What if sage guy is a nose picker? Do I have to face north and pick my nose 8 times a day? Why? Because my mission in life is to imitate great sages? I don't think so. Say I'm well fed and you're starving. You come to me and ask how you can be well fed. Well, I've noticed that every time I eat a good meal, I belch. So I tell you to belch, because that means you're well fed. Totally backward, right? You're still starving, and now you're also off-gassing like a pig. And the worst part of the whole deal, pay attention to this trick, the worst part is that you've stopped looking for food. Your starvation is now assured. I let that one sink in for a few moments. There are important lessons here, and I don't want to race through them too quickly. The little questions are always portals into larger answers. The non-attachment thing is the same, I continue. If you're looking at it as a key to peace and happiness, then I can't discuss it with any authority, except to say that it sounds a little dull. However, if you're looking at it as an important step on the path to awakening, then I can assure you that it's not. Wake up first, and then you can have non-attachment by the truckload. We discussed non-attachment some more, but the whole thing is really very simple, and Andrew said that he felt he understood it much more directly now. I didn't doubt it. That belching part was inspired. The next thing Andrew and I got into was what it meant to be in the world, but not of the world. This didn't take long, because the answer is largely the same as it is for non-attachment. It's nothing you have to worry about now, I told him. It's just something that takes care of itself when the time comes. There's no point in understanding it. He was not so easily put off, so I continued. From my perspective, I told him, unenlightened people seem like characters in a soap opera. That's what I see when I watch people with all their concerns and hopes and dreams and conflicts and dramas. That's not meant to diminish the human experience in any way, and anyone watching from my seat would say the same thing. But when I say soap opera, that's what I mean. A maudlin, hysteria-ridden, unconvincing, poorly scripted, and clumsily acted fiction of no importance and limited entertainment value. I used to be the same as anyone else, of course, living my life as an unwitting character in the soap opera. But now I'm not. Now I'm out of it and free to come and go. But what I can't do, barring a major head wound, is ever mistake the soap opera for reality again. So here I am, on stage right now, this very minute, speaking with one of the characters in the soap opera. This particular character has a storyline that revolves around breaking out of the soap opera itself. This particular character wants to know whether it has an existence outside the dramatic framework of the soap opera, or